Hello, everybody. It's the start of another exciting week of Betting Weekly Live with me, Simon Holden, and Jack Wright, my guest today. So when I started negotiations about doing the 14th of July, I said, get me Jack Wright or the deal's off. And here's the great man himself. How are you, my friend?
I'm very well, thank you. Negotiations was super hard for that, but we got the deal done in the end, which is the main thing. Mainly because they a bit of a new romantic entrance music, wasn't it? Would you say?
Well, it was, and I think it befits our appearance together, Jack. Two of these most suave men on the team, but that's not a great accolade in itself. And of course, I am sporting new spectacles, so I'm looking forward to being able to read and see whether that's a good thing or not. Now, folks, get yourselves in, get some comments in. We are going to have a look today at some football, courtesy, some soccer, Jack Wright. It's an interesting day, but we're going to spread things out a bit. We're going to have a look at some tennis. I've been in touch with the main man, Nigel Seeley. I've got you some very, very good tennis selections for tomorrow. And we're going to have a look at the World Club Championship and the fallout. And we're going to have a look at the Premier League prices and the Champions League prices. And what are the implications for Chelsea and PSG? And I'm going to be picking the brains of the great man, Jack Wright, on them. And of course, folks, it is Open Championship week, the greatest golf week of them all. And on Wednesday, we have got the ultimate preview hosted by Nigel Seeley, guest Neil Channing. So the dojo, a double dynamic duo together, and myself, and we're going to try and give you loads of winners. But today, we are going to look at the prices, have a little chat with Jack, see where we are, give you a weather forecast, and I can tell you that Bet Rivers have an astonishing offer for the Open, but more of that later. But I can see people are already commenting. Duncan Evans, good to see you. Steve from Lynn, Ming Chung, the real Brendan King. Welcome back, Simon. It's been a while. That's great, and it's great to be back. But yes, we're going to be talking about Brendan King. But first, we are going to look at a live match. Now, Jack, you know, I can often be accused of exaggerating, talking things up. But even I am struggling to say this is a great game. But I think one of the messages that we're going to give today is that a winner is a winner. A winner of a lowly level Swedish game will pay the same as the World Club Championship. And a winner at Båstad, careful how we pronounce that one, also pays the same as a winner at Wimbledon. So we are all about the winners here, folks. It may not seem a glamorous day, but if we can put some dollars in your pocket, then that is what we are here for. So, Jack, the big game today, I shall hand over to your expertise. It is LK Sirius FK, the mighty. They are hosting Mjallby AIF, and all I can tell you is they are plus 260. The tie is plus 280, and Mjallby are favourites at minus 108. Now, Jack, I've seen your excellent X update. There is talk of a very, very good selection here. So I'm on 10 hooks, and I know we all are. I'll hand you the floor, my friend.
Wow, what an intro. What an intro for that game as well. And you avoided the temptation of using the Sirius punchline to set it up as well. So,
it's still early though, brother. It's still early. I've got a McEnroe angle in there for later, but there you go.
Oh, nice one. Good stuff. Well, so you hit the nail on the head. Sometimes, say you look at a slate and you go, well, there's nothing there. And like realistically for me, of all the leagues that I play, I said the Premier League, obviously those major league ones are my frontline markets, frontline leagues that I go and play. But of the ones today, the Allsvenskan, I can't even say it, Allsvenskan in Sweden is the one that is the only one really that is on today. So I had one game to focus at, and sometimes that makes things a little bit easier that you've only got that clear focus, that clear line of sight on what you're looking at, and you're not kind of spread between 30 different games that you've possibly got ways in. So the thing that jumped out at me is you've touched on those prices there. Mjallby at minus 108. Now, anyone that doesn't know the league, Mjallby are league leaders at the moment. They've only lost once so far this season, and I expected them to be a lot shorter than that. I expected them to be a lot stronger favourites than that, given that record and the fact that Sirius are only outside the relegation zone in Sweden by goal difference and are 1 point ahead of second from bottom. So you'd look at it and you'd go, well, Mjallby have got to win this one. They've got to be strong favourites. They're a point clear at the top. This is their game in hand, so they can stretch that lead to 4 points. They're in decent form. They've got the best road record. But something's telling me, and we have these, don't we? You have those gut shots where you go, do you know what? That feels like a little bit of a trap to me. Something there is telling me to avoid it. Look, Mjallby could go out and run out 4-0 victors. Hopefully they do it all in the first half and we're okay, giving a clue to where I'm going with it. But I am avoiding them. I don't know why they're that price. I think there is an element to it. But anyway, I can't see there's no key men out. I've gone through both lineups. We should be seeing all the key men. My bet in this one is over 1.5 first half goals. That is priced at plus 125. I said before on the live show, I do like to find plus money picks if I can, get a little bit of value out there. And I've also got 2 kind of second in line and a third in line pick as well for those. I wouldn't say play them all because they're all kind of interlinked, but depending on your kind of aversion to risk or the fact that you want to just have a small stake on it and you can go, for the bigger odds, we'll come on to that. But plus 125 for over 1.5 first half goals for me. As I said, we want the key men to be playing. So if you've got the chance to wait until team news comes out about an hour before kickoff, this one kicks off in 2 hours, doesn't it? So you've got time on that one. The key men I'll quickly rattle through. Leo Volta, this is for the home side, 7 goals in 14 appearances. And Robbie Uri is 6 goals and 3 assists in 14 appearances. So they're both for Sirius. And then you look at the visitors, you've got Abdoulaye Mane, 6 goals, 3 assists for him. Nicholas Ruykjaer, 5 goals and 4 assists. And Herman Johansson, 4 goals and 5 assists. You can see that most of those names featuring on that slide there. So, as long as they're not all missing, we should be in good shape there. And there's no reason to suggest that any of them will be out for this one. So the over 1.5 first half goal stats, very simple ones. 3 of the last 4 Sirius home games have seen at least 2 goals in the first half. 5 of Mjallby's 8 league road trips this season have seen 2 or more goals in the first half. So for me, at plus money, that looks like a real decent angle of attack in a game where we could see Mjallby do what they should do, top of the table, go there and put on a performance and score some goals and get out of the traps early and do that. So, but they have conceded goals in recent weeks as well. So that's that. And I'll briefly just say what the other 2 bets are behind it. If you want to go for something slightly juicier than that, even juicier than that, both seem to score in the first half. I've got down as well at plus 255. The reason being, 2 of those last 4 Sirius games I then referred to have seen both teams score in the first half. And 4 of the last 6 Mjallby road trips have seen both teams score in the first half. So plus 255 for that. And then if you really want to stretch it, the loose change down the back of the sofa bet, the pizza money bet, as Nigel would call it, is for the first half to end 1-1. So you can go on the correct score there on the halftime market on Bet Rivers. And those 4 games I talked about for Mjallby, where both teams scored in the first half, all ended 1-1 at halftime. And that run of 4 games I talked to about Sirius, that started with a 1-1 tie at home to Halmstad in the first half back in April. So the stats around it, we should see goals in the game. There's a real element of first half bias towards it as well. In a game which could be a mismatch, or we could see a surprise and Sirius actually go about it and get a goal or 2 against Mjallby. So going down the goals angle and in the first half.
Excellent. And of course, as John McEnroe said, Jack, you cannot bet Sirius. Big Mjallby fan. I know he's kept that quiet. I see somebody's already tried to do something similar, but I was always going to get that in. So there we go, folks. Now, quickly, while everybody laughs and settles down and gets to know the McEnroe gag in itself, can I make a plea for those of you who are watching, so many of you watching regularly who are not subscribers? Just take a couple of seconds while we're chatting, while you're texting your friends that McEnroe bet Sirius one. You won't have many friends left if you do. And just subscribe, ring the bell. We have hit the 10,000 subscribers, and thank you to you all. Thank you to all that watch, that contribute. It's your show at the end of the day, that have this as part of your daily life now, and we really do appreciate it. But there are so many of you watching don't subscribe, so please subscribe, hit the notification bell. We're getting bigger and better all the time, and I really think we need to give a big shout out to our tennis crew, of course, led by Nigel and Sean, Rory, old Tim Dennis at the tennis, the whole gang, because we've hit some of the biggest viewing figures that we've ever hit. And I think the Wimbledon coverage has been absolutely superb. So big up to them. Please join in the show and all we do. And if you're not in the newsletter, it's out today, of course, at the weekend, a big open preview. Just go to bettingweeklystudios.com and sign up. It's twice weekly. It's all free. And it really is just an extra layer of the kind of betting, because we win crew in conjunction with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. So please, I know people get irritated by these things, but we'll be brief. So come and join us officially if you haven't subscribed. Get that newsletter into your inbox twice a week. Right, there we go.
Simon, just quickly, Steve Wiss has ridden, as he does, to my rescue. Not for the first time, won't be for the last time. And there's some lovely intel there on the game. He is our Swedish expert, amongst other experts. Tease that he has, but he's all over the Allsvenskan league, the top league in Sweden, and he's just got a little bit of info there, as you can see on the screen right now, and a follow up there as well. So there we go.
That's fantastic. Steve. Yeah, and this is why we are the best team, folks, for little gems like that from the great man, the meat man himself, Steve Wiss. So thank you for that. Dave Clarkson, both teams just scoring over 2.5 goals. Interesting. Right now, before we do the tennis, I'm going to tell you about some of the things that have gone on at Bet Rivers over the weekend, including some long odds winners. Get this, $50 on Chris Gotterup. One of the great names that. $50 on Chris Gotterup to win the Scottish Open at 125 to 1. Copped 6,250. What a play. Of course, Chris Gotterup, the second longest driver in world golf. So obviously he's got other strings to his bow, but incredible. But the golf payouts did not end there. $110 on Victor Perez, round one leader, 90 to 1, took out $9,900. $10 on Friedrichstad at 60 to 1 v Mold. $45 on Chelsea to beat PSG. Get this, Jack. 3-0 correct score at 50 to 1.
Correct score as well. Holy smoke.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Took out $2,000, $250, and I bet you were dancing like Donald Trump on the stand at the end of that game. Wasn't that fantastic? And obviously, he's signed for Chelsea now, so will he start in their first Premier League game? Who knows? But more of that to come. And $260 on Taylor Gooch to win Live Andalusia at 22 to 1. Took out over $5,500. And we have some Monday house specials for you today. Any player to hit a 500 plus full-time home run in the home run derby at plus a 650. All you got to do for that house special is to log into your Bet Rivers account. And also, I'm going to tell you now, actually, it's so good. There's a 30% pre-tournament profit boost on bets for the Open Championship. I was going to tell you at the end when we did the golf, but that is such a good offer. I am going to tell you now. And the Monday live streams that you can get in, of course, what have we just been talking about? Sirius FK Mjallby will be available to live stream. 2 Romanian League One matches. ATP, Los Cabos and Gstaad and Hamburg and Iași will all be available to a live stream. So fantastic action going on there. Afternoon, good morning to Ray Burke, Steve from Lynn, Dave Clark, and everybody that's coming in to say hello. Give your views. Have you got any early open thoughts? Come on, let's get that going. What are your thoughts in terms of the tennis tomorrow and this week? Now, the tennis, there is an element of after the Lord Mayor's show, but there's plenty of tennis action going on. And we've got Båstad and Gstaad. We've got Hamburg on the WTA Tour and Iași from Romania. And I have been on to the gaffer, a man known for that volatile temperament, but he was in a good mood today. Slightly, and that's Nigel Seeley, and of course our boss, and he has given me some tennis selections for us. So I'm going to go through them with you. We're going to start at Gstaad. Now let's all have a little childish giggle at the pronunciation of the other tournament, which we're going to come to soon. But we're going to start at Gstaad, and we have got Stanislas Wawrinka. These are tomorrow's games. The Alexander Shevchenko. Now, Wawrinka is 15 years older than his opponent. 40 years of age. He's so old. He was rumored to have been at the opening night of the Pyramids. This is an old man. Now, he's a marginal favorite. incredible when you think of that age difference. But I think the logical bet here is to play him to win the first set. You have to question his stamina. His extra class should get him through that first set, though. And we recommend that you take that at -132. So you can bet on this. Wawrinka to win the first set is the play there. The old boy will get the first set done. Then who knows what will happen after that. But we won't care because we will have cashed. So it's Stanislas Wawrinka to win the first set. I'll repeat that price for you at -132. Now, let's move on to the second. Thank you, Nigel, there for popping me back on. It is Jan-Lennard Struff v Juan Manuel Cerundolo. Now, interestingly about this game, Nigel is very, very strong on Cerundolo here. Very strong, despite him being the outsider of the two. He's 33-16 on clay, 33 wins to 16 defeats. And he's just won a challenger event on clay last week, whereas Struff, the favourite here, is only 1 win and 6 losses on clay. And that win was when his opponent retired injured. So you could question that completely, that he hasn't won properly. And yet we can get +123 on Cerundolo there. Now, Struff did take a set off Alcaraz at Wimbledon, and Nigel thinks that might be overplayed in the odds and has very little bearing on tomorrow's match. So we got Wawrinka to win the first set, the old boy, and then we have got Cerundolo, confident pick at +123. That's Gestard. We will now go on to Boisson. Now it's very easy to read the spelling that Bet Rivers have put, Jack. I have to say, could be considered quite offensive to some people, but I'm going to show you it's pronounced Boisson. And on the, I'm not going to do that joke. Now we've got 2 games here. I'm already in enough trouble. Camilo, Hugo, Carabelli. Yeah, exactly. This is a genuine 50-50 call in Nigel's view. And of course, my logic, bringing one of my great sayings about betting here, Jack, is when it's a pick 'em, when you can't split them, what do you do, Jack? You bet the bigger price. So it
makes sense to me, that.
Yeah, he cannot split these two yet. Garin is -125, and we can get +20 on Hugo Carabelli. Now, he's lost his last 7 tour matches, but they've been played on grass, or the last 5 is 0 from 5 on grass. But this guy is far better. Now, in what could be a real long 3-set battle, I think at the odds there, Carabelli back on his favoured surface is the call. And that leaves us with Kopriva and Hugo Dellien tomorrow at Boisson. Now, Kopriva could go very deep into this event. Nigel thinks he's going to have a very easy afternoon. And the play here is him to dispose of Mr. Dellien reasonably comfortably in straight sets. And that becomes a plus money, +125 game. So we're going to go Kopriva for an easy afternoon to dispense of Hugo Dellien, and then Hugo Carabelli back on his favoured clay surface to do the business there. Duncan Evans, Wawrinka first set is a classic play these days. So yeah, once you've got a bet that's popping, then keep going. Although I'll briefly go on to it now, mention it, but I've been riding the Alcaraz train for quite a long while. I've made more money betting him, I think, than any other tennis player in history in the last few months. But that profit train has it. The buffers as he got beaten in the Wimbledon final. But more of that later. And should I have gone in again mid-play? Of course not. But yeah, you know what they say, Jack? You've got to get off the beach before the tide comes in. And I'm afraid I stayed
right, yeah.
And I got very, very wet. But there you are. We'll come on to that more later. Now, let's go on the WTA. Now, Niall, if you could pop that on Hamburg, please. We are going in the Boisson v Grabher game in the WTA at Hamburg. Now, have we got that, John? Not a problem if we haven't. I can just give the bet. We're going to take Grabher on the handicap in this game. So please do go to Bet Rivers and check that one out. Now, in that, Grabher's a very capable clay court player in Nigel's view, and should overcome this with the handicap. So take that one on the handicap. I'm sorry, we haven't got the graphic for that, but no concern there. I tell you what we'll do now. Instead, we will take a look at the US Open outright market. I've just been talking about the Wimbledon final. Now, Jack, we have a situation here. Now, the brilliant Sean Calvert and Nigel at the very start of this tournament at Wimbledon special talked about Sinner and Alcaraz. The option of playing them in the outright at the start of the tournament being very almost certain that they would meet in the final. And of course, they were bigger prices. So here at the start of the US Open, Sinner is favourite at plus 115. Alcaraz is second favourite at plus 160. Now, I was talking to Nigel about this and about what him and Sean had thought. And I mean, we'll talk now in general. This is a dominance of a sport by two people, which is very, very rare. Nigel feels that the drop from 2 to 3 in the world rankings is to Djokovic, the third best player in the world, is almost as big as the drop from 3 to 50. You know, that these two are so far clear. And we saw Novak Djokovic get to the semi-final and was disposed of fairly comfortably. So I suppose the sort of general question is, can anybody stop these two, apart from injury, get into the US Open final? And if that's the case, should anybody who has got an interest in them bet them now before the start? And when they go through the motions of disposing of the rest of the field, the prices will shorten slightly and slightly and slightly till they get to the final. So what do you think, Jack, in terms of that as a general strategy? To just feel these two are so far clear, should we just get on them now?
Yeah, I think that, as you said there, that is a very interesting strategy. And, you know, I'm not going to even try and add any weight to the suggestions and the thoughts of Sean or Nigel, who are experts in the field as far as tennis is concerned. And so pretty much what they say to me in that sport is gospel. So obviously the records speak for themselves. They absolutely nailed Wimbledon, some fantastic results there, and the viewing figures on that obviously were incredible. So well played to both of them for that. Well deserved also. So I think it's a brilliant strategy. I think it's a brilliant kind of outside the box way of thinking about things. So yeah, absolutely, I'm happy to get on board with that. And as you say, if Nigel said it there, if the gap, you know, I it was kind of quite startling to hear that, isn't it? Like the fact the gap to the, you know, Djokovic and then beyond is a chasm. So yeah, like absolutely,
it is something to think about on that. And bearing in mind that these guys are 22 and 23 respectively.
I was going to say that.
So they ain't going anywhere fast, anywhere quickly. In the last 5 tennis major finals, only once have they not been the final 2. Incredible stat.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. Now, some people are saying, of course, that their rivalry is making the pair of them even better, and they're playing at such a high level to beat the other one, that they're going to greater heights and greater heights. And that's really bad news if you're playing in men's professional tennis at the moment, because they appear to be going off into the distance. Now, I'm going to stick with my old mate Alcaraz, but I'm going to start betting him now, to be honest. Where are we? Dave Clark, Alcaraz killed me yesterday. Maybe he gets back, and me too, Dave. But I do think he'll get back. I really do. I think he was... Don't know. I think it just kind of faded away from him late on. I mean, I backed him at 2-1 down. I still thought he could come back, but he didn't look as strong as Sinner. But
he won the warm up event, isn't he? Like Queens or whatever it's Stella, whatever it's called these days now, isn't it? But he won that, and I know I've listened to Sean and Nigel talk before about the fact that you kind of want to go and go through like the bits and that you want to work on in those sort of tournaments, but you don't want to go right deep. You want to play every single game and get to the final. To then, I know he's done it before, but then to come again and then have to go through and, you know, you are going to make the odd slip up. And like, obviously, was the first round. He had a little bit of a tougher game than anyone ever expected, wasn't it? And so maybe that was just the fact that it did catch up with him a little bit. And I just say Sinner just had that extra juice in his legs, that little bit of freshness, and was a little bit stronger. So yeah, maybe that. But watching them going toe to toe is still an exciting event, isn't it? So and I say there's been an interesting idea there from your man Brandon King, who's said about
I like that.
back in the outside of the two.
Yeah, my uneducated opinion is always just take the bigger odds between Alcaraz and Sinner. It feels like a coin flip between the two, and a lot can change through a tournament. Yeah, great points. Ming Chung, can anyone else win a Grand Slam right now? I think the only thing that can stop him, like we said, is injury. That, you know, on the odds is fairly unlikely. But it's all, it's a possibility. And
this is Nigel, isn't it? On the Betting Weekly Studios account there, just answering that question. I was going to say no in a uneducated way, but Nigel's definitely very bullish, saying no, definitely not. Yes. So and say, other than injury at this moment in time,
Nigel makes the point there that Sinner was favourite yesterday, and he did say late on, to be fair, that there was a huge late move for Sinner. He did announce that before the final. So I hope that puts some of you on Sinner. I personally didn't see that till after the event, obviously. But and in a month's time, we're going to have the most fantastic US Open coverage. But every week, tennis coverage is here. And we are the place to be for tennis betting. We really, really are. And the gang will take you through every week. But all roads lead to Flushing Meadow. Now, we had the first inaugural, which means first, so I needn't have said inaugural after I'd said first, but I did. So we had the inaugural World Club Championship, and it was a win for an English team. Now, I was going to say something of a shock, Jack, but obviously we've read the big winning bet there. Somebody even got the 3-0 right, so brilliant. Again, whoever did that. But Chelsea, when this tournament began, I don't really think many people were tipping the Blues for a long run in it. So what we need to think about and discuss, because we're all about the betting here, folks, is what are the implications of this win? Could we overreact to it? What are the implications for the Premier League, but also for the Champions League? Because let's remember, PSG, as soon as they won the Champions League, the old king is dead, whatever, we go straight to thinking who's going to win it next year. And a whole host of people, including some of the Bet Rivers team, the Betting Weekly Live team, thought that PSG were too big in the market. Now, the market kind of corrects it in a couple of days, and they shortened. So we're going to have a look at the outright now. What does it tell us about Chelsea? What does it tell us about PSG? And should we, Jack, look and remember about the teams that weren't there and not get carried away? But what do you think? Let's start with Chelsea because, you know, excellent. They're a young team. They're a club that looks to be going places, and they will be walking an inch taller now, won't they? And of course, they've just signed Donald Trump. And well, what do we think? Firstly, what an achievement!
Yeah, I think Mr. Trump's going there as a celebration coordinator, isn't he? So for any of the goal celebrations, he'll show them how to do a nice dance at the end of it.
We don't have one of them at Everton, but we're hoping to get one year.
Well, you don't need them, do you? No, you don't really need them. So first thing to say about Chelsea is, for me, it was a surprise. I've kind of been a little bit negative about Chelsea for much of last season and through this tournament as well. I was against them in the final. I thought they might give. I was surprised about the prices to a certain degree because they were PSG were plus money to beat both Real Madrid and Bayern Munich, and they disposed of them pretty easily. And then they were massive minus money favourites to beat Chelsea, and you needed to go on the Asian handicap to get a play on them really. And I thought they might have given them a harder game. As it turns out, they did, but they were. I was really surprised by Maresca yesterday. I'll be honest with you. I thought that they might well get outthought in that game. the draw had completely opened up for them. It has to be said that, like, they were on the very much the right side of the draw. Obviously, with how the groups all panned out, they missed all the big sides. All the big sides were obviously with PSG, as we now talked about the fact they played Real Madrid, played Bayern Munich as well, played Atletico Madrid in the group stages, and Chelsea kind of had a very simple pathway through to the final. And that's what I've kind of felt, that then it was suddenly going to be a massive step up in class and PSG was going to do the business on them. But they've been terrorizing people down PSG's left-hand side throughout this tournament. And Maresca decided to exploit the fact that they were doing that by attacking their left-hand side with a kind of direct ball over the top of Mendes at left back, getting him going backwards. And he was all flustered. He was all over the place. And like, they could have really had 2 or 3 before they scored, Chelsea. And it was, a very, very convincing and a very, very professional performance. And one that, yes, they got the players. They're all young players. They've got great talent in there. They've got incredible strength in depth. And I just wondered if there was still a question mark about the manager. And he answered a lot of questions yesterday. Yeah. He's obviously now got to carry on and do it. But that was a big, big win for him. And you can see what it meant to him at the end. And I tell you what, there's a little bit of fisticuffs, a little bit pushing and shoving. Anyone who said the Club World Cup was a little bit of a nothing, that was answered a little bit at the end of the game yesterday as well. So, look, fair play to Chelsea. We had the graphic up there with the Champions League prices. You can see there's a little bit of a kind of cut off, I suppose, where you'd go Bayern Munich, then a little kind of gap to Chelsea, and then another gap, same gap to Inter. I'd certainly say for me, the winner, I'd be shocked if the winner doesn't come from that left-hand side of that graphic. I can't see any side on the right-hand side posing a threat at this moment in time. Obviously, at the start of the transfer window, really, we've still got a long way to go in that, so we could see some massive moves for some clubs that maybe don't need an awful lot to go and start challenging. I was a little bit surprised that Chelsea weren't cut a bit more than they are, to be honest with you. I looked at the odds with Bet Rivers, and they're plus 1,600, as you can see there. They were plus 1,800 before the PSG game. So a little trim, but nothing too much. So 8 favourites in there. I reckon we're going to come on to the Premier League in a little while, but there's been a much bigger move for them in the Premier League than there has been in the Champions League.
Interestingly,
personally, I'd be more inclined to go with them in a cup competition, in a cup tournament, even be in the Champions League, than going for them to be ultra consistent because of the young nature of the squad and the rotations they'll have over a 38-game season. I think the cup tournaments for them, they've shown how strong they are in winning 2 of them this season. I think an FA Cup, a Champions League even, with the league format of that Champions League really is one to try and get our heads around, which is quite tough because we thought, do you want to go and stroll through it? We saw Liverpool stroll through it, finish top and draw PSG in the knockout stages. You don't want to be doing that, do you? You don't want to be having that kind of game then. So that's going to be interesting, but we ain't going to know that obviously until much, much later in the piece, and the price is going to be starting to be changing on that. So do you know what? I wouldn't put anyone off having a play on Chelsea at the moment. A little bit of a knee-jerk reaction. So, well, they're just now beating PSG. But I still think PSG, despite the crowd, the official title being with Chelsea, for me, I think PSG are the best side in the world, certainly in Europe. And therefore, if you can beat PSG and so convincingly, that's got to give you a chance against any other side in Europe. So they're going to take a lot of confidence into that.
Great point, Steve Meatman there. Steve Wiss has said the final result was down to physicals. Now, PSG had nothing left in the tank. Now, Steve has mentioned this recently. I'm speaking to Nigel Seeley about this, actually. The the Premier League teams seem fitter and stronger than their opponents, and they seem to be finishing games better. They seem to be out-muscling a lot of teams. I agree with you. I think 16-1 Chelsea is a bet in the Champions League, because I still think PSG is at the right price, Jack. I agree with you. Yep. I think they were so outstanding last year that one defeat isn't going to shake me off the fact they're the best club team in the world. But then that gets me to thinking, well, if Chelsea have just beaten them, who have they got to be afraid of in a cup competition? They cannot be double the price of Arsenal and Manchester City. I didn't think that anyway, but that's confirmed to me that they look very poor value. And I think that is the bet. I agree with you that a Premier League season might be a year too early now for this particular team to do that over the full 38. We'll quickly look at the Premier League odds now, because interestingly enough, there's been a bigger reaction to the Premier League market on the back of a cup competition than there has been to the Champions League, which I find odd. They're now plus 800. We've got Liverpool at plus 200, Arsenal plus 225, Man City at plus 300. Chelsea are now markedly, and I tell you what, we won't get into this too much, but what a drop-off to the next team, Manchester United.
And how are they the next team? Oh, my days.
And how are they the next team? But really, I mean, in terms of Bet Rivers, this is a 4-horse race.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we won't cover that, but it's interesting stuff. And, of course, the big thing to say if you are playing early on these markets is it was the inaugural Club World Cup. We don't know the effects it will have on the teams that played. We don't know if the confidence levels brought will outweigh the physical payoff. There will be a physical payoff. There has to be, because this is the first time. But we're going to probably find that out. But at 16-1, I believe that Chelsea are a bit of value, because if PSG are the right favourites still, then they have to shorten for me in that market. Yeah. So
we talk on the Premier League show quite a lot about the fact of the impact of playing Champions League and then going into the Premier League and not being maybe used to that, or playing on a Thursday night. Chelsea completely overrode that by the fact that they played a B squad in the Conference League and then went back to their normal side in the Premier League. And if anyone hasn't seen it, try and find a graphic from Chelsea squad at the moment where it's literally listed in their formation and the players they've got in each formation. And what I would say about Chelsea is João Pedro's hit the ground running. We've got to see how that pans out over time. But he's a very different striker. They've been quite shrewd in the market and going, we've got a striker now that can go out wide, can sit deep. And they've got that battering ram who is absolutely brimming full of confidence in Delap. Liam Delap looks like he's said, well, I'm deserved to be here. Let me at it. And he did that when he came off the bench. But it's a different. So if they're struggling, they've got that different option. And they've got like 2 or 3 players in every single position that if there are injuries, if there are suspensions, and the impact of having these cup games, so that they're a side that you can kind of write your own rules for a little bit, to be fair, because they have got the ability to rotate so heavily. But I'd say I think they are overpriced still. I was surprised they haven't been trimmed more than that.
Yeah, excellent. And last thing to say on Chelsea, and you can't say this about some teams at the top of the Premier League betting, they're only going to get better, aren't they? You can't guarantee that some of the other teams are not on the decline, but this team are only going one way, and it could be a team to get with in the early weeks.
Young player, young players, young head coach. Point there about have you got to eat your words? I'm not one for knee-jerk reactions. I still think he's got to obviously carry that on, and a sticky start to the new season, and it'll be bang under pressure straight away. Of course he will. But to put it in context, I did get some notes written down. The fact that on the 2nd of June they were 22-1 to win the Premier League. Then they were plus 1,200, and then plus 1,000 after. So just before the PSG final, and now plus 800. But so from 2nd of June to like the 14th of July, they've gone from plus 2,200 to plus 800. So that shows you the support in that Premier League that they've now had, that early weight of money.
And if need be, in January, a lorry load of cash to buy new players.
Yeah, well, look, they're selling players that their rivals want. They're now looking at selling players. Madueke going to Arsenal, they're talking about that 50-odd, 60 million quid. He's had half a good season, something like that. And they're flipping him for money. They bought him for like 20-odd million, and now they've got one of their rivals. And if you're happy to sell a player to a rival, you either don't rate that rival that highly, or the player is possibly a little overrated, because if not, they'd want to sell him out of the league, not keep him in the league as a threat. You know what I mean? So we've seen that before, but they've certainly ruffled a few feathers, I think. And as you say, the other side's have got to sit up and take notice, and they're trying to kind of get these additions in, and Chelsea just go and get it done. That Pedro deal happened very quickly. When they wanted to pull the trigger on it, it was done. Same with Delap. Talk of Man United. No, we're having him. We've got him. See you later.
Yeah, and just very, very lastly, myself included, many people thought this was going to be a ceremonial, complete waste of time as a tournament in terms of viewing, in terms of betting. But I tell you what, watching that final and the fighting and the desire made me think this tournament is here to stay, whether we like it or not. So we better get used to thinking about summers and the Club World Cup. But
look,
Chelsea...
I think that it started off with me and Steve had talked about it when I was on the show there, very briefly on it. Like when the European side got paired with the South American sides, that's when it started to get a little bit of a flavour about it because the support was there, the atmosphere was built up, and then the kind of in-match tension was there. And you need that. You need that competitive fight and that competitive edge. And these players, when they're not used to playing against each other, suddenly there was an extra spark to it, which obviously we then saw later on in the tournament.
Yeah, so Chelsea Champions League 16-1. Wouldn't put anyone off that, and neither would Jack. Now, the fun doesn't stop with us today because at 1 o'clock Eastern time, it's Betting Weekly Tennis Live with Dustin Fox and Money Mitch. They're covering live bets with all the in-play action today. Don't miss that. And then at 3 o'clock Eastern time, it's that man, Doug Kazarian, looking at, for Fast Break, looking at some NBA and WNBA bets. And Doug Kazarian is banging in winner after winner after winner. So do not miss either of those shows. If you want content, then we have it. And of course, very quickly, do join up. Do sign up for the newsletter. Right, folks, on Wednesday, bettingweeklystudios.com. That's it. Twice weekly newsletter in your inbox. Now, it is the greatest week in golf. We got a Portrush. And what I can tell you, I've been looking at the detailed weather forecasts, and we have had an incredibly hot spell in Britain and Ireland. But I was praying, Jack, that it was going to continue for one more week. But the weather has broken in Northern Ireland, and 6 of the next 7 days will have sometimes very heavy rain. Now, that's got implications because this is not going to play firm and fast now. It's probably going to suit the longer hitters, and the ball will be able to be stopped on the greens, which we were playing last week. The people that had gone over there early, they could not do that. So the weather will change this week, an important aspect of that for you to consider if you're playing. But I would beg you on Wednesday to listen to our preview. 11 o'clock Eastern time. It will have Neil Channing. I'll be on myself. We saw nearly got the win in the US Open with Robert McIntyre. He had one hand briefly on the trophy, and then at 2 in the morning UK time, our hearts were broken and we went to bed with just the each way money. But we will aim to go one better. Neil Channing, myself, Nigel Seeley will host the show. We will have selections in the outright market. We will have the best prop bets. We will have it will be the best betting preview. There'll be other previews about the Open Championship, but ours will be the best dedicated betting. I can confidently say that. So please do join us at 11 a.m. Scotty Scheffler is currently the favorite. Now, this is the biggest price Scheffler has been for a major championship this year. Now, he's never won the Open. So Bet Rivers are offering you plus 550 on the world number one. Then it's plus 700 on Rory, who finished second to Chris Gotter up in Scotland. But Rory didn't do so well last time we played this event here. And John Rahm, who's a little tight to me at the odds. Now, Jack, I want you to throw us a name on Monday for who is like taking your fancy for this great event.
Okay. Well, what I would say as well is you talked about that there. Bet Rivers given a great little carrot there to take for Scotty Scheffler at plus 550, but also don't forget that plus 30% extra, the incentive that they're rolling out as well on that, which would put him around about what, plus 700, something like that. If you want to go straight on the nose for Scheffler to win it and pick up your 30% bonus as well. Very nice indeed. That makes it interesting. I have gone a little bit further for my one. I'll probably play a few more, but I've gone early on a player. I was expecting the weather to hold, like you talked about, but a player that came very close actually, and I do share this pick with Bet Rivers because we win Glitterati, and I won't give too much away because I think I've got a preview in the Insider, but I've gone with Tyrrell Hatton, who put in a brilliant effort in the last major, didn't he? Was there or thereabouts. His box office, of course. Love watching him on the course. Anyone who's not seen his clips, search him on YouTube after you finish watching this, and you'll see some hilarious moments from him, both on and off the course. He's great in press comments as well, but he's brilliant on the course, and I think he's been doing super well. I think he's a bit underrated because he's obviously performing as a live player at this moment in time. So obviously can't get as high up in the rankings as a lot of players. Plays a lovely approach. Kind of what I'd read into what we need for this course. He kind of ticked a lot of the boxes. So for me, at that price, a little bit of each way value plus my 30%. That's where I'm going. Tyrrell Hatton.
Yeah, Tyrrell Hatton. Now, let me leave you with this thought, folks. The last time that this was played in Portrush 6 years ago, Shane Lowry won by an absolute procession. Tommy Fleetwood was second. A very young Tyrrell Hatton was in the top 10. And there was a young gentleman called Robert McIntyre in his second season as a professional. And he finished in the top 10. Now, will those 4 players finish in the top 10 6 years on? Who's got better of those 4? Who's declined? And who is a value price? But I'll leave you to muse on that, and we will hope to answer that on Wednesday in the preview that we're all waiting for. So, Jack, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate, as always. And if you just quickly give us your best bet in the football.
Oh, it's a tough one to call. Which one will I go? I'm going to go with over 1.5 first half goals in Sirius versus Mjallby, which kicks off in just about an hour's time. So you got team news out in about 20 minutes. Get involved. That one, over 1.5 goals in the first half at plus 125.
Excellent. And I'm going to go with that old boy Wawrinka to win the first set.
That's a great bet. I do like that.
-132. He may have been at the opening night in the Pyramids, but this old boy can lurch through one set and then retire.
And I love the fact that we have the audacity to be calling Stan Wawrinka an old boy.
Well,
40 years old. You know what I mean?
When I get to his age,
in our late 30s.
I hope I'm in the best, as good a shape as he is. This way.
I do.
Folks, you've been amazing.
Congratulations to you for tiptoeing your way through the pronunciations of all those tennis landmines that you avoided.
Yeah,
well done.
And I didn't even do the Bostad joke about, I know a few.
Tune in at 9 o'clock for those.
It's great. Thanks to Red Burke. Thanks to Duncan. Thanks to Mink Chung. Thanks to Brendan King. Thanks to Wissy for the updates. Thanks for Nigel Seeley for the tennis. And we will see you tomorrow on this show live. And I will see you again on Wednesday. And I'm looking forward to it. It's been an absolutely fantastic show. It's the start of another great week. We are flying as a channel. Come and join us. We're growing week on week. Whatever sport you want to wager, we will have the best handicappers for it. So see you all tomorrow. Remember, there's 2 of the shows tonight, and then we roll out for the rest of the week. And take care. Always bet responsibly. And we shall see you very, very soon. Thanks, Jack.
Cheers, mate.